Welcome to the Retirement Evolved podcast with certified financial fiduciary Adam Bruno.
Welcome back. We are back, the Retirement Evolved podcast. I am certified financial fiduciary Adam Bruno, and with me as always is the greatest co-host in the world, Lauren Traulsen. But Lauren, say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone.
I'm sorry, I kind of jumped over you there for a minute because I'm so excited because we finally got the one and only Kurt Traulsen out of the cave to join us for the podcast. Say hi, Kurt.
I'm here.
All right, he's here. There you go. All right, and just full disclosure, folks, he did not know he was going to do this today. So Lauren and I are going to have a lot of fun today.
Oh, it's going to be great.
It's going to be great. All right, so like always, let's start in history. 1896, Dow Jones Industrial Average was first published. The 12 original companies were American Cotton Oil, American Sugar, American Tobacco, Chicago Gas, Distilling and Cattle Feeding, General Electric, Lace-Laid Gas, National Lead, North American, Tennessee Coal and Iron, U.S. Leather, and United States Rubber. 1935, Babe Ruth hit his 714th home run, a career home run record that would stand for almost 40 years. And you know what, Lauren? You know what the most important number is. Do you know how many times Babe Ruth struck out?
How many?
1,030.
Really?
But we don't ever remember that number. I remember that number. I remember little statistics like that because it took him 1,030 strikeouts to hit 714 home runs. And all we remember is the home runs, right? So it's crazy. 1977, the very first Star Wars movie opened in theaters Memorial Day weekend, earning $461 million in U.S. ticket sales. And my life changed forever, even though I wasn't born yet, because I love Star Wars.
We know.
Never seen it.
Kurt, darn it. Anyway.
You've never seen one Star Wars movie, Kurt?
Not even one.
Star Trek. Not.
Oh, that explains a lot.
Kurt and I were more Lord of the Rings. We watched a lot of Lord of the Rings.
You did?
Yeah.
We did.
Yeah.
Did you read the books, Kurt? Anyway, 2006, Barry Bonds hits his 715th home run to pass Babe Ruth on the all-time great list. But none of that measures up to the one and the only Hank Aaron, right? I don't even remember how many it was. It was a lot more, though.
I don't know baseball.
Crazy, yeah. Anyway, so that's this week in history, and it's been a very crazy week this week. You know, we started to see a lot of the back and forth. We're finally starting to see it published, the back and forth with this cut on spending that Biden wants to, the debt ceiling elimination, right? We haven't seen a lot of information, but now this week it's starting to buzz a little bit more. So that's something we're keeping our eye on, right? What do you got, Lauren?
I've got a little say what?
Say what?
Census data shows over 40% of baby boomers have no retirement savings. Savings rates do tend to rise with age, but only to a point. In the 55 to 64-year-old boomer age group, 58% say they own retirement accounts. Without any retirement accounts, most retirees will rely on Social Security. The average monthly Social Security check is around $1,800, but the average household spends more than $4,000 per month.
$4,000 per month.
Sounds like a government.
Sounds like what?
Our government.
Your government.
Yeah. Okay,
let's let Kurt have a little bit of time here because he and I go back and forth with this Social Security issue. You know, Kurt, what do you say to these people that are so concerned about, Lauren just said it, 1,800 is the average, but what do you say to these people that are so concerned about Social Security just going away, right? I mean, I know it's a big issue right now.
Yeah, I think it's politician suicide to cut Social Security.
Right.
Nobody's going to vote for you if you say we're going to cut benefits or raise age.
You know what? I agree with that. But you, and I know all of our families listening are just cracking up right now because they can't believe Kurt's on the podcast with us. But you are in the numbers. Is there any support to the fact that Social Security might not be as sustainable as we think it is, numbers-wise?
Well, we know that for a fact because of the Social Security website saying when it's going to end. However, we do have a printing press.
And I'm assuming you're talking about being the Federal Reserve currency of the world so we can print as much money as we want.
Correct.
Yeah. Dangerous, though.
I was going to say, isn't that part of the problem?
That is, I think it's a big part. I think that is the problem, right? We walk around and we pay each other with IOUs. It says Federal Reserve.
Says it on the back
right
of the,
Yeah, right. That's it. Kurt, you mentioned the Social Security website. It says it's going to end. What does it say on there? Is it like a doomsday countdown? I haven't even been on there.
There is an end date. Yeah.
Oh, do we know what that is?
2030 sometime.
Wow.
It's pretty close.
Yeah. A couple of years.
What do we think they do instead of it? I mean, obviously they can't just end it, right?
Well, I mean, here's the problem. The average monthly Social Security check is $1,800, but the average household spends $4,000.
Right.
Our government's bringing in so much, and they're spending so much more.
Right. So, right. We talked about this, Lauren, right? I mean, it's $1 billion deficit, right?
Yes.
As far as what they're bringing in compared to what they're spending. And that's not even including, the national debt, which is what, 31 trillion, something like that. That's crazy. It's a dangerous time to live in. I mean, we'll talk more about that in a little bit. We don't want to leave you hanging on a cliffhanger of Social Security ends in 2030. I know Kurt has some very creative thoughts on why it won't end. So, and one of the most important things again is, can you say government collapse if it does end? I mean, it's
No, that won't happen.
Okay, Kurt, what do you think is going to happen?
No, I just don't think the government's going to collapse.
Right. Okay.
So a couple events coming up for Evolution. We have a couple white glove events going on. Those are going to be at the Hilton Garden Inn at 11 o'clock on June 5th and June 7th. Feel free to register on our website. I believe we have it on Facebook as well. Follow, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. We also have a lunch and learn going on June 6th at the Hilton Garden Inn, Fort Myers at 11:30 a.m. Derek Lightburn with Wisdom Tree is going to come and be our guest speaker.
Oh, Derek's coming.
Yeah.
And he doesn't put people to sleep, which is nice.
That's
I don't
great.
have to do a lot of moderating there.
And a fabulous lunch is going to be held afterward. Come on down, guys. Register on our website.
What was it, mahi?
Give me a call.
The mahi
was
good.
good.
But it was like some kind of mustard sauce.
Yeah,
almost,
it was
right?
like a mango sauce.
Yeah, mango sauce.
Right?
It was good.
Coconut
like
shrimp.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Can't beat food and information in the same spot. I mean, I really like that. And it's family style with us. Everybody knows it. Usually if you come to one of these events, you're not a family that we're working with, you'll see that it's a little bit crazy because our families are a little bit different. They're a little unique, right?
Yep.
So it's kind of nuts. So since Lauren brought that up, just a little bit for identification here. We are Evolution Retirement Services and Evolution Wealth Management. You can find everything out about us at taxfreefortmyers.com. You have to spell it out, tax-free, and then FORTMYERS.com. The book that I wrote is there as well. Again, the book was a team effort. It's a modern day case study of a lot of the families that we worked with and the problems and opportunities that we keep seeing with successful families, just like you if you're listening to this podcast. So obviously, you want a little bit of knowledge and you want to make your retirement even better. And that is our mission, making your retirement even better. And it's that simple. And it starts with helping you through the opportunities as they arise. You can also go to our website, evolutionretirementservices.com. And 2 of the articles that I wrote for Kiplinger are up there, right, Lauren?
Correct.
So those are there. We're doing 2 more this year. Really excited about that. We haven't really announced it yet, but it is coming. We're doing 2 more articles as soon as I can figure out what I want to write about. Kurt, you have any thoughts on that?
No.
Okay. Yes. Kurt is so uncomfortable right now. It's not even fun. I love it.
See him.
It's great. And everybody's laughing, Kurt, because they all love you. Listen, full disclosure, everybody loves Kurt. Kurt is the one that everybody talks to the most. Obviously, you see me running around, but this is kind of what I do well. I'm the mouth and Kurt is the brain and Lauren is the body that makes everything run, right? So that's kind of how that works. Wow, I guess I should be careful. It's not like body, no, like the
right,
the parts.
I got it.
Yeah,
I got
okay.
it. Yes,
all right.
yes.
You got to be careful these days with what you say.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's keep the good times rolling. What else you got, Lauren? You got anything else to talk about today?
Yeah, we got a couple things. Okay. Why is everyone so worried about retirement? Confidence has dropped to 2008 levels.
2008. That
2008,
was
the housing
market crisis. Yeah.
Only 73% of retirees are confident about their retirement prospects, according to an annual poll from the Employee Benefit Research Institute. The typical retirement account balance is around $144,000, but the national average for one person to live comfortably in retirement is about $967,000 in savings. Wow.
So it's actually under. I used to wow, Kurt, can you believe that? I mean, you would think that probably we talk about it all the time. It feels like $1 million just isn't enough. I mean, what do you think about that number?
I think people have to try not being average in this scenario.
Right. And that's average is a lot. Yeah. Average is a little
You don't want to be average.
Lauren, I mean, if you had to put a price on it, and I'm the worst of us when it comes to just wanting to make sure I have every experience I can have with the family and make memories and spend money. What do you think your retirement looks like? Do you think $967,000 is enough?
I think it all comes down to priority.
Yeah.
What you prioritize in your life is kind of how you spend your money. And I think if you're a person that likes to travel like myself and you like those experiences, sometimes money isn't, you can always make more, right? But when you're in retirement, and you aren't working anymore, I think it's important to, like, again, prioritize what is important to you and go from there and know your goals, know your vision.
It. I was waiting for you to say
it
because you are on board with that ever since we made that transition to being goal focused, right? In the retirement yard, because it is our yard.
It's our yard.
Fort Myers is our yard, right, Kurt?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Kurt agrees. No, speaking to this, it's really funny because I would say that a lot of the families that we serve, and Kurt, you can back me up on this or slap me down if I'm wrong, but I would say the majority of their income needs are between that $6,000 to $8,000 a month number.
I would say it's probably lower.
You think it's lower? Yeah. I just, from what I see and what, the families that come in, I think, okay, you're right. I think we try to encourage them to probably spend a little bit more because they're going to end up with millions and somebody's going to spend that money, right? So I think that's a big, and we could talk about that too for a minute. I think if you're listening to this, you probably have gone through this. You work your entire life and you go without and you save and you do without things. And you get into that routine of doing that and living like that, even when you're at your most successful, when you probably could have spent a little bit more money. So when you retire, you have all this money. But if you're a really successful person, you're saying to yourself, gosh, I hope that's enough, right? So the idea is we don't get away from that saving mentality, even when we're retired. And now we could be, or we could have been, having more of those experiences, spending a little bit more, doing those things. But it's hard to break that pattern. I always tell people, start out with, next time you fly, take a look and see what first class is like. That extra $400 or $500 isn't going to kill your budget or your retirement or anything like that. It's not going to make a dent. So obviously don't go out and buy a plane. You know what I mean? Let's start small here, but you can spend a little bit extra money on the experiences rather than the normal experiences.
Absolutely.
And not to mention the fact, Lauren, you are someone who taught me this primarily. When we talk about those experiences, we talk about time, and you kind of already talked about it. We don't know how long we have now. Now it's definitely a shorter runway, right? It's not as long as we had before. So when we skip out on something, is that the last time we had the opportunity to have that experience, right?
Right.
So
absolutely.
Yeah. What else you got?
High inflation, rising interest rates, and stock market volatility have spooked workers and retirees. They have less confidence that their assets will keep up with inflation.
That's an interesting one. Kurt, give us a little breakdown on inflation, especially, the history of inflation as far as the numbers, what the actual percentages are.
Well, I think you have to look at history. High inflation, rising interest rates, stock market volatility, these things happen all the time. People shouldn't be spooked about that. It's Murphy's Law. When you retire, all three of these are going to happen.
Really? So what do you think, if I were to say, inflation is as high as it's been in a long time? That's probably a true statement.
True.
But when you say something like Murphy's Law, that really makes me think for a second. We tend to look at that situation and say, we're all Italian in here. So we say, why does this always happen to us, right? It's like we identify it as something that's happening to us. But you said something really important. You said that it's always going to happen. It's not just us, and it's not just happening to us. This has happened in history multiple times. And successful families, just like you, the ones that are listening, you're going to deal with these opportunities. Because I've told myself in 2023, I was going to try not to use the word problem anymore. You can look at this as an opportunity because it is. There's always an opportunity, right? Kurt, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, it's just human nature to not take action until something bad happens.
Also very true. He is a man of few words, but boy, when he says it, it's like skin crawling stuff there.
Market was up, 13 years in a row, and it finally went down. And then people are worried about high inflation, rising interest, market volatility.
Right. And not new problems. Things that we have seen before. I think we brought it up. 1981, the year I was born, was the first year that we hadn't had double-digit inflation in 3 or 4 years. So, it's been in our history. It's never going to, they always say history repeats itself, but it does change every time, right?
Sure.
It's not like it's just repeating, so this is going to happen. And that's why Kurt said it from the beginning, Kurt is the reason that we have made this shift into being goal-focused rather than performance-focused. Because if you come from any sales environment or background, the first thing you're going to talk about is the features and the performance. And, this car is better than that car. I have never sold a car, people. I just want that to be made very clear. I've never sold a car before in my life. But I did come into this industry years and years ago as a salesman. And it was, what can we sell? What can we talk about? And Kurt always said, we don't need to worry about selling anything. We have to worry about goals. We have to worry about service. And believe it or not, Lauren, Service sucks right now. Can you agree with that? I mean, obviously not here, but in other places that you go to.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, it's so hard right now. It's unbelievable that you walk around and you see the type of service that you see. Kurt, and this is a perfect example. I was at Disney, a couple weeks ago, I think now 2 weekends ago when I brought my family in.
Last week.
Yeah, we did that VIP tour, which was, I've never done before, which was awesome. My little cousins that were in, they're like 7 and 9. They wanted to meet Elsa from Frozen. Wait, no. Is it Anna or Elsa? The one that has the Kurt, this, the one that has the silver hair. Which one is that?
Elsa.
That's Elsa. Okay. So they wanted to meet Elsa. Usually it's a package deal here, but the tour guide took us up to go meet Elsa, and the guy at that was, kind of like the bouncer for the characters was like, "Oh no, we're not taking any private tours right now. You can go through the regular line." And we're like, "Oh, okay." So we go to go through the regular line, and our tour guide just stops for a minute. And I can tell there's something bothering him. And I said, listen, that's not the normal. How many years have I been going to Disney? I mean, that's not the normal. You don't get talked to like that. That's not the normal thing to do at Disney. Usually it's, I'm sorry, we have high volume right now. We won't be able to slide this in. Just give me a second. Whatever it is, right? Service is supposed to be on point. Hell, Disney's been the model for service.
It makes an iconic company.
That's right. So I said something, and I kind of complained about it. I said, listen, he shouldn't have talked to you like that. That was rude. Forget the lines and everything. Like, that's not the way that this is supposed to work around here. And he said, I agree. So he contacted on his phone. He was doing something, texting. He said, why don't you guys go ride the ride? So he walked us through Frozen. So we rode the ride. And listen, we didn't skip to the front. We just went through the lightning lane. So we still had to wait a little while. But, you pay for that. So we went through the line and we got out, and he said, hey, come with me. So the director of that department that meets the characters was there to meet us and knew Leah and Emma's names and said, Leah, Emma, I heard that you wanted to meet Elsa. And they said, yeah, and they're all excited, right? Their faces just light up, right? Which is exactly why I did this whole thing, because I wanted them to have that experience. And they said, I heard you want to meet. And they said, yeah. And they said, well, she said, if you don't mind, we're going to meet Anna too, because they usually do things together. And like, oh, great. And then they're super excited because they didn't know they were going to get to meet them both. Took them back there. They got like 15 or 20 minutes with Elsa and Anna and took a lot of pictures. They talked to them about school, all this stuff. Like, that's service, right? Like that extra, just that little extra touch. And it didn't cost anything. Right. But our families that we serve, they're used to the extra touch, but where they came from, or where this performance, the sales environment that they came from, it's seriously lacking right now. Right. I mean, you don't see service like that. And it's really sad. So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox now. What else you got over there? Okay.
Many people don't know where to go for financial advice. 2 in 5 weren't sure where to turn for solid retirement planning advice. And 24% of Gen Xers and 38% of boomers met with a financial advisor last year.
Wow. I mean, wow. That's a tough one. You know what? I don't blame them for not knowing where to go.
Well, who can you trust?
Right. I mean, what happens when you Google something?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like somebody's calling to tell you something right away, right? I mean, it's not like you're getting service. So my idea on this is that's kind of why we do what we do, right? That's why we have the team that we have. We identify families that we work with, but we don't work with everybody, nor do we want to, because if it's not going to be a good fit, somebody's going to end up breaking that relationship. Because a good fit just doesn't work, and you're not going to work together. My take on it is to always, and Kurt feels the same way, and he'll speak to it, but my take is to always provide that value first, and that education, and that helpful information as much as possible. And if it's somebody that we can identify that we can work with, great, we'll let them know that. But how about we put the needs first, right? The goals first, and then we can talk about whether we can work together. I mean, don't you feel that way, Kurt? Hasn't that changed kind of the way we do business?
Yeah, I think maybe many people don't know where to go for advice is because there's so much out there. And, firms that have thousands of clients, how can it be custom tailored?
Yeah.
How can it be about me?
Right.
And that's, I just have to take a second with that because I'm trying not to get emotional here. But like we talk about the families that we have here, we know everybody. I mean, right. If you can't know who they are when they walk through the door, there's a problem. If you don't know to ask about their kids or ask about their, whatever's going on in their lives, we talk about all the time. We know everybody's retirement, from their finances to their health to their, it's just, if you can't provide that level of service And and people see that when they talk to you, and they know that you're just really asking questions to kind of figure out, hey, how much money do I have? All this stuff, right? So to your point, yes, I think it's absolutely true. If you've got thousands of clients, how can you possibly provide that custom tailored experience and service that every family kind of desires? Everybody wants to feel special. I mean, that's the reality, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's the Wild West out there.
It's funny. I follow this Facebook page, and it's all of these retirees that ask for financial advice from Facebook. And I think that can be kind of dangerous when you put your whole retirement savings based on what somebody's comment is about something that's going on in the retirement world.
A keyboard warrior telling you what to do with your money. Yeah, that's a little scary. You know what's scarier is Kurt's on Facebook? Yeah. When did that happen? Are we friends on Facebook?
I'm just behind the scenes. I don't take action.
Okay.
I just see what other people post.
Yeah.
You're just kind of watching for the
There's no
entertainment
interaction.
value.
It's just scroll.
Just scrolling.
You know, I saw an interesting article the other day about the Surgeon General. I can't remember what state it was. The Surgeon General in one of the states, though, made a very strong stance on stricter reform for social media, especially for kids that are under the age of 19.
I believe was it Oregon that they just put a law in place for kids of a certain age can no longer use social media?
But you know, the Surgeon General broke it down in this article. I wish I could find it. I'll get it if anybody wants to read it. But it was really interesting because he talks about purely the mental health aspect of it and the development of our brains, and it doesn't really stop even at 19. But at 19, we have a little bit more capacity to filter out the BS, right? But what are we filling our heads with on social media? You know, this whole, and these, you separate these kids from their phones. It's like, you know, you got to send in the Trojan horse to separate. I mean, it's crazy. So
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of being on my social media way too much.
But isn't it a little different?
I mean, it is because I know who I am, you know, but I think that, you know, when you're growing up and even in my 20s, you know, I wasn't sure, you know, what the latest, you know, trend was or what this, you know, and now you see all these beautiful, beautiful women and with AI and all these different filters and everything, you know, especially kids growing up, you strive to be, you know, everybody wants to be this person. And
I didn't even think about that. That's true.
You know, it does affect your mental health and you think you need to be a certain way or look a certain way. And, you know, I think that that's extremely damaging.
I don't know if it should be the government's job to make that regulation. I mean, kind of the parents.
Well, it always starts at home, right? You know, and think about this, though. We've got 2 young kids, right? I mean, it's really easy to plop them down in front of Sesame Street and say, okay, watch TV for 5 minutes while we've all been there. It's easy, right? That's the easy choice. But we can't let easy outweigh development at this point. I mean, development is, especially like you said, that's what was quoted in the article. You're developing your identity in those years. So what you're filling your head with and what you're watching is very, very, and to a certain extent, I feel that way about some of my family members that are older, and I think they should regulate it for people that are older too. I mean, my mom, perfect example. She watches all the news. She's on Facebook all the time. Like, it's like the world's coming to an end, and she can be a very miserable person sometimes. You have to separate her from that and tell her, listen, there's a whole world out there. It's time to get away from the computer, time to get away from the TV, go do something fun, and we'll go to the casino or something. She'll be happy again. That's her happy place.
I hear
the
that.
Casino, yeah.
My mom's too.
Yeah, I know.
I think it just sets unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, with everything.
Yeah, and you know, talk about unrealistic expectations. This investment world that we're in right now has become even more dangerous with a lot of what we're seeing on TV and the advertisements, because they know that people are nervous. People are scared right now. So you see a lot of these quick fix solutions on TV, or even how William Devane, buy gold, you know, right? Come on. I mean, there's so many, Kurt, we talk about this all the time. There's so many distractions on TV now because people are preying on this mindset of, well, what are we going to do? What is there to do? Right? Don't you feel that way?
Yeah. Without a plan, I mean, those commercials can really suck you in.
Yeah, the plan is the important part. And I think what you're trying to say is you got to have a plan. Kurt is a big planner. If any of our families remember the A-Team, I always used to fashion myself as Hannibal, but I'm not. Kurt is the original Hannibal. He's the one who loves it when a plan comes together, although he doesn't smoke cigars. So, you'll have a cigar every once in a while.
Once in a while.
Yeah. Like a celebration.
Yeah.
Lauren loves a good cigar, though.
No.
No?
No.
Oh, I was really hoping there. I just thought maybe there's a chance.
No, it's not for me. It's
Yeah.
something about it. I don't like I feel like the chewing on the edge.
On the edge of it? Yeah, I can't
And
chew on the
I don't
edge
know
of it
how to
either.
not inhale.
Yeah. Yeah, that's tough too.
I
Yeah.
wouldn't know how to not do that.
That
It
is
would
tough.
be weird.
Bill Clinton didn't inhale either, right? Is that the whole joke? He never inhaled the cigarette or the cigar, whatever. Anyway. Okay. Anything else you got for us? We got about 4 minutes left.
Sure. Less than half of workers ages 45 to 54 have tried to figure out how much money they'll need to have saved by the time they retire. According to one analyst, if you haven't done it by 45, you're not going to like what you see when you're 55.
Wow. It's such a trap though. Like, how do we talk about this all the time. When you talk about trying to show people what their income's going to look like, how much money they need, talk about how many factors there are that go into that, Kurt.
There's a lot, but I think this relates back to what we said earlier. You don't want to be average.
Right.
And if you're waiting to 45 or 55, if you're just average and have an average income, I totally agree. You're not going to like what you see.
Yeah, especially with the planning portion of it, though. Some of the things that are overlooked, inflation. Inflation itself, we have all these other firms, all these other jokers out there use that 2.25% number for inflation.
Well, it wasn't here for the last 40 years. Everybody forgot.
Yeah, but they go by like a 10-year average, right? Our goal is to go by the 109-year average, so we get a very realistic look. It's something as simple as that could significantly impact what your income looks like.
Significantly.
If you use the lower number, it's going to make it look like you have a lot more money than you do at the end. Yeah, it'll look
We used
way
to work
better.
for a firm that didn't provide any inflation numbers.
There it is. Had to get one in today where we listen, our path to here. I don't think anybody on this podcast, Lauren, Kurt, myself, Warren, Dave, anybody on our team would argue with this fact. We learned everything that we shouldn't do, and we ended up here for a reason, right? So I wouldn't change a thing. What I might change, I don't think I would change anything because it definitely wouldn't have had as much conviction to get here as we do, right, Kurt?
Yeah.
When Kurt walked out and said, "I'm done" at the other place, I said, "Oh boy, this is really gonna go to heck in a handbasket now." So it was a really easy decision to kind of follow him out. So, all right. So once again, we are Evolution Retirement Services and Evolution Wealth Management. You have every opportunity in the world to contact us. You can contact Lauren, myself, or even Kurt, and use Kurt, Lauren, or Adam at evolutionretirementservices.com for all of your questions. And there is no dumb question, folks. I know people say that that's not true. I truly believe that's not true. If you have a question, we're more than happy to respond, answer. No sales pressure, nothing like that. If you have questions, we want to be able to answer them. Also, if you need any information, if you're looking at, Medicare surcharges, Roth conversions, investments, estate planning, whatever it might be, we have somebody on the team here to help you with that, any of those questions. We're getting ready to roll into the weekend here, and it's been a really interesting week. I want to take some time to let everybody know that life gets a little bit crazy and a little bit busy. Make sure that you're focused on your mental health too. Make sure you put your mask on first before you look to help others, because it's been one of those crazy rides for all of us. The company keeps getting more and more questions, getting bigger, people calling in, but the reality is the mission has not changed. We want to help you. We want you to be able to get the answers that you need and the answers to make your retirement even better. So until next time, I'm Adam.
I'm Lauren.
Kurt.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of the Retirement Evolved podcast. God bless you all. Stay safe out there.
Investment advisory services are offered through Evolution Wealth Management Incorporated, an investment advisor registered with the state of Florida. Registration does not imply any level of skill or training. Evolution Wealth Management's unique CRD number is 307644. You can obtain a copy of Evolution Wealth Management's firm brochure, Form ADV Part 2A, free of charge by visiting advisorinfo.sec.gov. Evolution Wealth Management offers investment advisory services only, where it is appropriately registered or exempt from registration, and only after clients have entered into an investment advisory agreement confirming the terms of engagement and have been provided a copy of the firm's ADV Part 2A. Insurance services are provided by Evolution Retirement Services. Any guarantees mentioned are backed by the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and may be subject to restrictions, limitations, or early withdrawal fees, which vary by the issuer. They do not refer in any way to securities or investment advisory products. You should consider the charges, risks, expense, and investment objectives carefully before entering a contract. This material has been prepared for informational purposes only and should not be construed as a solicitation to to effect or attempt to effect either transactions in securities or the rendering of personalized investment advice. This material is not intended to provide and should not be relied on for tax, legal, accounting, or other financial advice. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services do not provide tax, legal, or accounting advice. You should consult your own tax, legal, and accounting advisors before engaging in any transaction. Evolution Wealth Management and Evolution Retirement Services are affiliated entities.